Welcome back to another deep dive. I was thinking about something the other day. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard of a case where, like, the victim helped solve their own murder?
Wow.
That's what we're looking at today.
Okay.
Teresita Basa, Filipino musician, built a life, in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
just tragically cut short.
It's one of those stories that, it really blends true crime.
Yeah.
The paranormal, means you ask questions about
Yeah.
justice and grief
Yeah.
and just what is the human spirit.
Absolutely. And we've got police reports and court transcripts.
Oh,
We've even
yeah.
got firsthand accounts from people that knew Teresita.
Okay, so we're going deep.
We're going deep.
All right, I'm ready.
So get ready for a journey. This one's going to challenge what you think you know
Yeah,
and leave you wondering about the forces that are at play
that maybe we don't see.
that we don't see.
Yeah.
So before we get into all the details of the murder,
Yeah.
let's talk about who Teresita Basa was. So imagine this young woman full of life passion, leaving the Philippines to pursue her dreams.
Wow.
She studies music in London, even tours Europe with her talent before finally landing in Chicago.
Okay.
1971,
All right.
less than $400 in her pocket.
Yeah.
She was determined to make it on her own.
She had this incredible drive, this resilience that you can see in everything she did. When her hopes of being a music teacher didn't really work out,
Yeah.
she adapted and became a respiratory therapist.
At Edgewater.
Edgewater Hospital.
And never let go of her love for music.
Right.
Formed a band, Mahogany 5+1.
Yeah, she's...
I know, right?
Yeah.
And they were making a name for themselves.
Good for them.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Playing gigs around the city. She was living proof that you can create a fulfilling life even when you face, challenges and heartbreaks.
Sure.
Because it wasn't all, sunshine and roses.
Yeah, of course not.
She had a really hard time with an American man.
Oh.
Really bad relationship.
Okay.
Left her hurt guarded.
Yeah.
He wasn't who she thought he was,
Mm-hmm.
and it really took a toll on her.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But she didn't let that define her. She focused on her friends and music, her new life in Chicago.
Yeah.
Which makes what happened on February 21st, 1977,
Good.
all the more tragic.
All right.
Started with a fire. Her neighbors noticed smoke coming from her apartment.
Oh, no.
They called the fire department right away.
Okay.
But when firefighters got into the apartment, they found out it wasn't just a fire.
Oh.
It was a crime scene.
Oh, wow.
The apartment was a mess, totally ransacked.
Oh.
And there, in all the chaos, was Teresita's body.
Oh, my God.
She was nude.
Oh, wow.
A butcher knife stuck in her chest.
Oh, that's awful.
It was horrific. So at first they thought it was robbery, rape, arson.
Makes sense with that scene.
Like the perpetrator was trying to,
cover their tracks.
cover it up.
Yeah.
But then the autopsy results came back and things changed.
Okay.
The findings didn't match the theory. No evidence of sexual assault.
Really?
The pathologist figured out she had been strangled
Oh, wow.
and stabbed.
Oh, my God.
And there's more.
And...
The way they set up the scene,
Yeah.
the details didn't fit. It was clear that someone tried to mislead the investigators.
Interesting.
This wasn't some random act.
Yes.
This was planned out, a big show to hide what really happened.
So the question is why?
Right. Why go through all that trouble to cover it up?
Yeah.
And who would want to hurt Teresita? This woman who seemed to bring joy to everyone.
Yeah.
So the police went over everything, looking for any clue that could lead them to the killer.
Yeah.
They found a note. It had the letters A.S. scribbled on it.
Okay.
There were reports of a man arguing with Teresita weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
There was even a possible break-in at her apartment.
Oh, wow.
Each thing seemed like it could be the answer,
Yeah.
but they all just led to dead ends. Months went by, and the case went cold.
Oh.
It seemed like Teresita's murder would just be another unsolved case.
Right.
Another sad story in a city with so much crime.
Yeah.
But then something crazy happened.
Yeah.
Something that just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And breathed new life into the investigation.
Right.
This is where things take a really unexpected turn.
Okay.
We're going into the paranormal here.
Okay.
And in the middle of it all is Remy Chua.
Okay.
She was a respiratory therapist,
Mhm.
worked with Teresita at Edgewater Hospital.
Okay.
Now, Remy didn't really know Teresita that well.
Okay.
They were colleagues, not really friends.
Right.
But after Teresita died, Remy started experiencing something
What was it?
really unsettling.
Okay.
She started seeing and hearing Teresita.
Oh.
It was like her spirit was trying to reach out.
Wow.
This wasn't just like seeing something out of the corner of your eye
Right.
or thinking you heard something.
Yeah.
Remy would see Teresita walking in the hospital, hear her voice, calling her name.
Wow.
It was so real that Remy started to worry she was losing her mind.
I can imagine.
Imagine being Remy. You're at work, doing your thing,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, you're face-to-face with a dead coworker,
Yep.
someone you barely knew.
Yeah.
It would shake anyone up.
It really would.
But it gets weirder.
Okay.
Remy didn't just see and hear her.
Right.
She started talking in Teresita's voice,
What?
even using Tagalog,
Wow.
which Remy doesn't even understand.
Oh, my goodness.
It was like Teresita was possessing her, using her to communicate something,
Okay.
a message from beyond.
The message from beyond.
And that message was chilling.
Okay.
Teresita started to tell Remy things about her murder.
Oh, wow.
Things the police hadn't told anyone.
Really?
Things only the killer would know.
Okay.
She described the jewelry that was stolen,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that was never even reported missing,
Wow.
even the exact pieces.
Okay.
And most importantly, she said the killer's name,
And who was it?
Alan Scher,
Oh, sure.
another respiratory therapist at Edgewater,
Oh, my goodness.
someone Teresita considered a friend, someone she trusted enough to let into her apartment.
Oh, my.
Put yourself in Remy and her husband's shoes.
Yeah.
Dr. Jose Chua.
Right.
They're dealing with this crazy experience,
Yeah.
this information that seems to be coming from a ghost, and they're terrified.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go to the police,
Right.
who would believe them.
Yeah.
They knew how crazy it sounded,
Right.
but they also felt responsible, like
Yeah.
they owed it to Teresita.
Yeah.
Imagine knowing that you might hold the key to solving a murder, but being scared to say anything.
Right.
The struggle between fear and duty
Yeah.
must have been agonizing.
It really must have been.
That internal battle.
Yeah.
Just so much to deal with.
Absolutely. It was duty that won out in the end. They really felt like Teresita deserved justice, so they called the police.
Okay.
And that's where Detective Joseph Stahula comes in. A pretty seasoned homicide detective.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine being Detective Stahula working this
Yeah.
case for months and months?
Yeah.
Hitting dead ends everywhere.
That thing working.
And then you get this call,
Oh, yeah.
this story about a woman channeling a ghost and saying who the killer is.
He had to be skeptical.
Right, it sounds like a movie.
Totally.
But Stahula was a good detective.
Mm-hmm.
He listened to the Chuas, and something about them,
Yeah.
their fear, how hesitant they were,
Mm-hmm.
it made him take them seriously.
Okay.
And then when they mentioned the stolen jewelry,
Right.
specific details that were never released to the public,
Yeah.
that's when things started to change.
That's the turning point.
Yeah. He knew he had to look into this Alan Sherry,
Right.
but he couldn't say where he got the info.
Okay.
So he had to be smart about it.
Yeah.
He brought Sherry in for questioning,
Yeah.
saying they had a witness who saw him with Teresita that night.
Okay. So he's playing it cool.
Yeah, he had to.
Mhm.
Sherry started to feel the pressure,
Yeah.
and he started changing his story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at first he was like, I don't even know Teresita that well.
Then he was like, okay, I was at her apartment that night to fix her TV,
Okay.
but I left because I forgot my tools.
Convenient.
Right. But it fell apart.
Yeah.
His girlfriend said their TV was fine.
Uh-oh.
He never tried to fix it that night.
Busted.
Yeah. And remember that note Stahula found?
The one with AS on it?
Yeah, with the Chusa story? Those initials took on a whole new meaning.
Alan Sherry.
Alan Sherry. The pieces were coming together,
Yeah.
but the biggest thing was yet to come.
Okay.
The police searched Sherry's place,
Mm-hmm.
and they found Teresita's jewelry. The exact stuff Remy described,
Oh.
tucked away in his girlfriend's jewelry box.
Oh my gosh.
So there he is. His alibi is gone. His lies are catching up to him.
Yeah.
And Alan Sherry confesses.
Confesses to everything.
He confessed to strangling Teresita, making it look like a robbery gone wrong,
Mm-hmm.
setting the fire to get rid of evidence. A
Right.
chilling confession. It
Right.
proved the truth that came from beyond the grave.
Yeah.
But the story doesn't end there.
Right.
This confession led to a trial that took over Chicago.
Yeah.
It was this battle of hard evidence versus this crazy story of a ghost wanting justice.
And that had to be a tough one for the prosecution.
Right. They had a confession, the jewelry.
Yeah.
But how do you tell a jury about evidence from a ghost?
Yeah. It seems impossible.
It was uncharted territory. Law and the paranormal all mixed up. The
Yeah.
prosecutor, Thomas Organ, he knew he was walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
He had to convince the jury, but also deal with the fact that people don't always believe in the supernatural.
So he couldn't just lean on the ghost story?
Right. It would create doubt.
Totally.
So Organ made a choice.
Okay.
Downplay the paranormal stuff.
Okay.
Just say Remy Chua gave him a tip.
Okay.
Focus on the facts.
So confession.
The confession, the jewelry. the holes in Sherry's alibi.
So he basically made it a normal murder case.
Exactly. Took out the supernatural stuff.
And did it work?
Well, it was tough.
Yeah.
The defense jumped all over how Sherry was arrested.
Right.
They used the ghost tip to attack the prosecution.
Makes sense.
They had a field day with it.
Yeah.
They said Remy was unstable, made up the story.
Trying to get attention.
Yeah, or maybe she wanted to get back at the hospital for firing her.
So how did the prosecution fight back?
Organ focused on how the Chuas didn't want to go to the police at all.
Right.
They weren't looking for fame.
Yeah.
They were scared and uncomfortable.
Which makes their story more believable.
Yeah, if they made it up, they'd be bragging about it.
Exactly.
Their reluctance was huge.
And then there's the jewelry.
Right. How do you explain that if you're saying it's all a lie?
Yeah.
The defense tried to say Sherry bought the jewelry off the street,
Okay.
but that didn't hold up.
Right.
Organ was careful.
Yeah.
He laid out the facts, shut down the defense's arguments.
Okay.
He had witnesses who backed up the Chuas,
Okay.
highlighting how trustworthy they were.
Right.
He also had experts testify that Sherry wasn't forced to confess.
Right.
Showed Sherry's history of crime and how much he knew about the crime scenes.
Stuff that wasn't public knowledge.
Exactly.
So the jury had a lot to think about.
Right?
A confession and evidence, but also this crazy story of a ghost.
It was a tough case.
Yeah.
It was all over the newspapers.
Really?
The courtroom was packed.
Wow.
But after days and days, the jury said they were stuck.
A hung juror.
A hung jury.
So what happened then?
Mistrial. They had to schedule a whole new trial.
Oh, wow. So it seemed like Teresita wouldn't get justice.
Yeah, her story was just hanging there.
Wow. But we know that's not the end.
It's not.
What happened? Did they actually have another trial?
It looked that way, like
Yeah.
they were going to have to do the whole trial again. But right before the new trial, Alan Sherry did something unexpected. He pleaded guilty.
Really? He just gave up. After all that, the trial, he just admitted to it.
Yeah, he did. Even though his lawyer told him not to, he pleaded guilty to all the charges.
Wow. I wonder what made him change his mind.
People had all sorts of theories.
Like what?
Some people said maybe he felt guilty. You know? Like he couldn't live with what he did anymore. Others thought maybe he was scared of another trial.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he thought he'd get a worse sentence if he lost.
Yeah.
And then there were people who thought about Remy Chua,
Yeah.
that confession from beyond the grave.
Yeah.
Maybe Teresita's spirit was still haunting him, pushing him to take responsibility.
It's hard to know what was really going on in his head.
It is. But his guilty plea did bring some kind of closure to this case.
Yeah, but you said the sentence was light, right? So did Teresita's family and friends actually feel like justice was served?
That's where things get complicated again. Sherry's guilty plea came with a really lenient sentence.
Like what? How lenient are we talking?
He got 4 to 12 years for armed robbery and arson.
Hold on. What about murder?
He was never convicted of murder?
Really?
The plea deal just focused on the robbery and arson?
That's not right. He killed someone, but he only did time for stealing and setting a fire. Why would they do that?
It's a question a lot of people have asked. Some experts think the prosecution didn't want to deal with the whole ghost thing in court.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought a plea deal was better than risking a second trial and him getting off completely.
So a lighter sentence was better than nothing.
Maybe. There's also talk that Cheryl might have told them about other crimes to get a better deal.
Oh, so he traded information for a lighter sentence.
Possibly, but no one's ever officially confirmed that.
So we're still left wondering if justice was really served. But what about Remy Chua? How did she deal with everything after the case?
She kept working as a respiratory therapist, but you can imagine how much this affected her.
Yeah, knowing you helped solve a murder, but in such a bizarre way.
It's got to weigh on you.
Absolutely. But she did help put a killer behind bars. And this case really captured people's attention.
Oh, yeah. It became this huge story, way bigger than just a normal crime.
Right. It mixed real life with the supernatural.
Exactly. What do you think makes it so interesting even after all this time?
I think it's that we all kind of want to believe in the unexplained.
Right.
Like, there are things out there we just don't understand.
Yeah.
Teresita's case with the crime and the ghost stuff, it makes us think about those things.
It really does. It makes us think about what the human spirit is capable of.
It really makes you think about what's possible. And it seems like Teresita did find a way to make her voice heard even after she was gone.
That's powerful. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, her story shows us that even after something awful happens, the human spirit can still fight for justice and make sure people remember what happened.
I know, I won't forget it.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, if you want to hear more stories like this, make sure you subscribe to The Deep Dive. We're always finding these amazing cases that challenge how we think and make us wonder about the world around us.